It might be live. All right. You want to jump on and then see how things are working? I gotta get my mic on. Thanks. All right. Oh boy. Hello. Wait. Oh boy. Hello, everybody. I think I'm live. Just getting my first time I've set up YouTube live stream, so this is a little new to me. Hopefully it's working. I'm Larry, and this is Step Into the Portal. I'm here at the Portal in Manchester, Connecticut, our local hobby store. And Brant's home calling in, trying to get me, and he just typed in the chat, "You are live." He says he can see and hear me. That's awesome. I'm not too loud. I'm not too soft. All right, cool. I'm gonna wind up. It's probably gonna be about 5-10 minutes before paint makes it to model. I just want to talk about a few things and see the setup and see whoever's on right now. It's Brant. Brant says I'm slightly loud, so I'm going to shrink the volume just a little bit. Hopefully that's better. And kind of see how the cameras look. So you can see my hands here. You see my face in the upper right. So this is where I'm going to be painting. So hopefully this is going to look okay. You know, I'm going to do something like this. And I have some source material here I brought. I have 5 things I'm looking to start on, work on a little bit on stream. I have Daredevil from Marvel Crisis Protocol. So I have his card with me to kind of get a sense of what he looks like. I mean, I know what Daredevil looks like, but it's nice to have a picture when you're working. I also have Thor, Prince of Asgard from Marvel Crisis Protocol. So again, I have a picture to work from. From Marvel United, the board game we played the other day, I have Dormammu. And I was interested to try this guy out just because of that flaming head and see how that looks. And then I have 2 models from Age of Sigmar, one out of the Sylvaneth book here. I have a Tree Lord Ancient, and then I also have some Ogre Maw tribes. I have a Maw Pot. I'll show those models in a second. So I have the source material here with me off to the side as I work on a model, and I want to kind of go see some of what. I'm not going to be copying their color schemes per se, but just to give me an idea. I think Daredevil's the first one we'll work on. So you see I already have him on my little fancy Citadel. It's actually not mine, it's Mike's. I just took his model off and borrowed it. I usually use paint tubs, but I also have Dormammu primed, ready to go. I have Thor primed, ready to go. That Ogre Maw Pot I was talking about, it's a scenery piece for Age of Sigmar. It's a pretty cool scenery piece. I'm curious to see. I don't even know how I want to paint this yet. And then the one I'm actually most interested in getting a good jump on today is the Tree Lord Ancient. As you can see, it's a reasonably good sized model, one of the heroes for the Sylvaneth army in Age of Sigmar. So there we go. Those are the 5 models I'm looking to start on. I have some paint set up over here. I have brushes up top and over to the left here. I have my wet palette. I have a glass little thing here that I use to do metallics along with some tiles. I find it useful. I learned this from Steve. You don't want to mix metal paint in the wet palette, so I got some tiles to work on. I got a little water pot here. I also have some stainless steel beads. I use these to help mix the paint. So you can see I've taken some Citadel paints here and converted them. I bought these on Amazon. They're relatively cheap. And then if I get the ball going, you can hear the ball. And it just helps mix the paint a lot better. And I like these because of the eyedropper instead of always dunking in the Citadel pots. But I haven't converted all my paints yet, and you really don't want to convert the contrast. So my contrasts are here, along with a few paints that haven't been converted. So that's that. I'm going to give this a shot, people, and I'm going to start, I believe, with Daredevil. One thing I want to say, I got this idea from Steve, and I think I'm going to do it with the Marvel, both Marvel games I'm painting, is I'm not going to detail the bases. I'm going to do the bases almost in a grayscale, probably put some Dawnstone, maybe a darker like Skaven Blight first, then Dawnstone, then like a lighter gray or white highlight, just so it looks like a black and white grayscale. The reason for that is I don't want to take away from the model itself. I want the model to stand out, not the base. So what I'm going to do first is take Daredevil, Thor, and Dormammu and work their bases. So we'll give that a start. All right, let's see how this looks. So let's do Daredevil's base first. Let's take a reasonable brush here. I got these at Michael's, these Artist Loft Vienna. This is a round 1 brush. We'll see how this works. And I'm gonna start with, see on black, see Dormammu is black here. I'm gonna just go right with the Dawnstone on him. I don't know, I think I wanna get this black first, this base, before getting the Dawnstone on it so it shows up a little better. Let me find my black here, and I'll use Corvus black, that's fine. And as you can hear, I'm shaking it, there's no noise, which means I am going to get a steel ball. These are stainless steel, you don't want something that'll rust in your paint. And I just add these as I need them for paint, so I didn't put them in all the paints until I use the paint. And I'll give this a good shake, and then we'll get started on his base and Thor's base, and we'll go from there. I think you can hear that. All righty, here goes nothing. If anybody's on there, feel free. If you, I'm gonna use a different brush to get the paint onto my palette. If you see a camera angle that might be better, or if something's not coming in good, just let me know. I'll gladly adjust for that. All right, that's that. I can close the paint up. Water on it. Get some paint on the brush. And let's see, I am going to just see where the model is versus the camera. This seems reasonable. And I'm just gonna start covering his base in Corvus black. Light coats. Even though it's a base that I'm not worried about the detail, I still don't want to overdo any of the paint. So while we're going here, I am not an expert painter. I do not know all the techniques. I've just recently begun getting a little more heavily into painting, so I've been learning some basic techniques and strategies, and I think the biggest thing I've learned at this point is to have patience and go at a model with a plan. I think when I first started painting, I'm kind of haphazard and scatterbrained and would just go all over the place and be like, oh, I know this is a red model. Let me just, you know, get my red out and start painting and see what happens. And then oftentimes I'd get frustrated, or, you know, I would just kind of lose interest or give up or not be where I want to be. And then I talked with Garrett and Sean and Steve at the store. Those are the 3 guys that I think paint really well, and I kind of lean on them for advice. And one of the big things I was told was have a plan. Have a plan and follow it, and that will help. And I will say I did a Wolverine model. It's not great, it's not bad, it's decent, that I followed a YouTube video on doing comic style with black ink. And because I followed his plan online, it was much more stress-free and fun to paint. So that being said, my plan for these models is to do the grayscale base first, or at least get the first layer of grayscale on here before moving on to the model itself. The Tree Lord Ancient is the one I'm excited for, and I'm waiting a little bit to start because I don't have an exact plan yet. I was hoping at some point, if some people get on, we could talk color schemes and other options for that model. I don't know how I want to paint him yet, color-wise. I mean, he's a Tree Lord Ancient, so clearly there's going to be some brown tones in there, but I'm not sure if I want him to be like a darker brown, richer brown versus a lighter brown, multicolored browns, different tones of brown. I'm just not entirely sure. He's got some what almost looks like armor, so I don't know if that, what we call that tree bark armor, maybe we'll do that darker, and then the under tree parts a lighter brown. I'm going to look at the picture in the book, show it to you guys and gals, and see what people think for an option there. I'm just starting the Sylvaneth Army. I actually bought the Army from Steve, and he had some things painted, but not a lot, so I want to start with my heroes. Some people tend to start with their troops. I get excited over the hero models, I got to be honest, so that's where I want to start. So as you can see, we're moving along on the base is almost all covered in Corvus Black here. And then I'm going to switch to Thor's base, and then hopefully we'll come back to Daredevil and get going on the next part. Trying to keep the model somewhat upright so you see what I'm painting. And every once in a while I got to turn it in such a way that I can see what I'm doing. I do not have the best eyesight. Mrs. Plano, my wife, Christine, got me this gadget that looks really cool, but it's just hard to always use. It's like got, alligator clips and other extensions, and it's got a magnifying glass and a light on it. It's a really cool contraption, but I find that I have a hard time using it effectively. She then let me use reading glasses to help with my aging eyesight, and they work really well. The only problem I have with them is every time I look up to talk to somebody or to look away from my model, I get dizzy because the glasses don't focus properly at a distance. So I think long term I'm going to need proper reading glasses that I could kind of, look down to paint, but then, look up and not get that dizzy feeling. But as we get older, our eyesight is definitely, I find I have better eyesight to paint than to model with. I'll tell you, gluing and clearing bits off of models is not easy when you're having a hard time seeing what you're doing. I will say the one nice thing about being here doing this is I have our studio lights on for live streaming, and that is offering me some very nice light. That's making this easier than when I do it at home and don't have the best of light. So this is definitely something I'm just learning right now, that lighting really helps see the model. Now, I've always thought, like, man, I thought I hit every piece in that model. Why am I seeing spots that aren't covered? One of the things I've learned is that paint shrinks as it dries, and sometimes when it shrinks, you get little openings. So Daredevil's base has its first coat on. So I've never used one of these Citadel things before, so I'm going to take him off of this contraption. Not as easy as it looks. Put him down. Bring Thor on over. We're going to do the same thing to Thor's base. Then while they're drying, we'll take Dormammu, who's already got black on his base, and we'll start doing his grayscale right off the bat. Let's see. Is Thor's base? No, there we go. Here's Thor. Same situation. We're going to, and I know a lot of the Marvel Crisis Protocol bases have cool, like, city steam grates and bricks and other stuff. And some of the models Garrett painted for me early on when I first got the game, he did the bases real nice. And I'm not in a position to want to give that kind of effort to the bases at this point. I want to get the models done. And I've seen a few models done with the kind of grayscale base, and it's a nice little touch to kind of not take away from the model. So that's what we're doing. Down the road and with other games, I'll do the bases differently. speaking of other games, and I'm curious what people think. We will be streaming some minis games in short order. We're working on a little more equipment for the stream, for the channel, so that other people at the store that work here can get on and do some other stuff. Brant and I tend to focus on Marvel Champions and the board games, but I play a lot of minis games. That's a misnomer. I own a lot of minis games. Let's go there. And I do love to play minis games, but it's not always easy, especially with COVID, to get a ton in and find someone who wants to play the same minis game that I'm playing. But to list them off, I have 2 armies for 40K. I have, I think, 5 or 6 armies I'm working on for Age of Sigmar. I actually gave Mike my clone, so I have everything but clones in Star Wars Legion. I own every faction in A Song of Ice and Fire. I actually really like playing that game, just haven't had anyone to play it with of late. Riot Quest is a fun minis game, lightweight minis game, a lot of dice rolling and just kind of fun times. Monster Apocalypse, Infinity, most of the Games Workshop sub-games. I have Necromunda, Blood Bowl, Warcry, Underworlds. I'm sure I've missed a few. And then I have a lot of CMON games like Marvel United that have a lot of gorgeous minis in them. So I do, once my war bands are painted and my armies are painted for all these other games, I'd really like to start painting my miniature board games from CMON and some other companies. The one, though, that I am going to work on kind of congruently with everything else is Marvel United. I've been dying for that game. Actually, that game is the reason why I wanted to kind of start learning how to paint, because I knew I wanted to paint that game. And interestingly enough, I have paid people to paint for me in the past, and, models come out gorgeous. But, and again, I have so much plastic that I don't know that I could paint everything that quickly. So, kind of farming some of it out's not terrible, but there is a satisfaction, I will say, of painting your own stuff and having that ownership, And I never lie, I show up somewhere with some nicely painted stuff that Garrett or someone else has done for me. I never say I did it. I always say, oh no, I paid so-and-so to do this, or so-and-so did it for me as a favor or whatever. But, I am excited for the time I show up to play and I have some reasonably well-painted things that I did myself. Then I could say, yeah, I painted that. So that's kind of where this hobby is a lot of fun, because there's, multiple facets of it. It's not just playing the game itself, but actually building models, painting models, designing your army based on, your play style. It's not just, grab some dice, grab some miniatures and go. I'm sure some people can do that if they're interested, but I really appreciate the joy of putting my own army at this point on the table. Whether it's a good army, from a win-loss standpoint, or just a themed army that I think is fun to play. People laugh as I buy new armies. I don't buy them based on if they play well or not. I typically buy them based on how they look, assuming that I'll make them look as good as the boxes show them to be when you go to buy them off the shelf. But we shall see. I know we said Steve would be on. He may still be coming. He had some other things come up last minute at home, and he's not sure that he'll make it, but I do expect a text from him at some point, and we'll see if that bears any fruit as far as him coming. So I think we got a good first coat here on Thor. I don't think I've missed anything, though. When the paint shrinks, we'll see. We'll see if there's anything missed there. So Thor can come off. And now we're going to go to Dormammu, who his base has already got black on it. So We're going to clean this brush off and see. All right, Brant's back on. He says I can paint a little farther away from the webcam. That is good advice. That's what I'm looking for, because I've never done that before, done this before. So I'm going to move these brushes here. Move my wet palette over here so I have room to paint probably about here. All right, so for Dormammu, he's already black, so I'm going to put this brush away, and we are going to dry brush Dawnstone for the first level of this grayscale. Let me shake it. I don't hear a bead, so we are going to put stainless steel bead in here so we can get some good paint mixture going. Oh, I don't think this one's even been opened. Not sure. It is definitely thick in there. This is going to be some shaking. We're going to shake, shake, shake. There's a song I can think of that starts like that, but I won't sing it. I'll spare you my terrible singing. Let's see who's texted me. If it's Brant again, yeah, same message. Put this back over here. All right, so for dry brushing, man, you know, I need to get a smaller dry brush, but I'm fine using this guy right here. Citadel sells the, Army Painter sells this. Master Classics Moderate Dry Brush. I think they come 3. I have 2 of them. I'm missing the 3rd one. I don't know what I did with it. It's probably in a box somewhere. But this will overspray a little bit onto Dormammu, but that's okay because we're going to go back and paint Dormammu. So it's okay that that happens at this juncture. We're not going to use the wet palette with the dry brush. I actually have paper towels over there, which I'll get later. I do have one of my microfiber type rags over here that I'm going to use. Ooh, we just knocked Dormammu over. Hit a little grayscale here. This is Dawnstone. I keep saying grayscale because that's the type of, you know, what I want the base to look like. But I'm not using a grayscale paint, I'm using Dawnstone. And we'll see. And you know, when you dry brush, you know, you're getting most of the paint off. And then depending on how thick, I'm doing this pretty thick because I'm going to do 2 other lighter grays and a white over this. So I want mostly gray showing on this, just a little black underneath. And again, I'm not going crazy because again, it's just a base that I'm trying to highlight. I'm trying to have the base blend in, and I'm going to highlight the model. The rim of the base will be black. The top will be the grayscale look, and see if you can see that, but let me take them off of here. That's all I did. Let's see, I'm messing with the camera, so hopefully you can see that there's dry brush Dawnstone over the black. So that's good. Now I got the other 2 guys drying. Oh. While they're drying, let's just jump right back to the to my Corvus Black just to fix up Dormammu's. I'm going to take him off of that so I could just do the rim of his base right now in the Corvus. Probably going to need 2 coats of this at some point because when I dry brush the next lighter gray, I'll probably get a little bit over this base, but for now I just want to get this first coat covering it. So yeah, I don't know what other types of models people would like to see painted on our stream. I think we're going to try to do this maybe once a month, you know, maybe get some other people, not just me. You guys are going to get sick of my voice after a while and listening to me ramble on, but that's okay. I have Orcs and Blood Angels at home for $40K. I have not painted any of that stuff yet. This kid Carter at the store is painting some of my Blood Angels for me. My orcs are built and not primed, so I'm going to prime a few of those, and you know, maybe next stream, if people are interested in seeing some 40K work, I'll work on some orcs. All right, there we go. So Dormammu's got a nice black rim to his base. He's got a little grayscale on top. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that. Go at it and move the camera a little bit so you can see he's got the black base and he's got the dry brushed gray base. I'll put this back here. A little webcam here that I'm manipulating. And we'll let that dry. And while that's drying, being Thor and Daredevil were in that contraption holding them still for me, I'm going to go and do the section of their rims that were inaccessible due to that holder. I'll just do that quick just to cover those areas. I love, if you're not using a wet palette, I never thought one was necessary when I was first starting out. I'm like, what's it matter? I'll just keep dipping my paint in my brush in water. But I will say a wet palette just makes life so much easier. The paint just lasts and lasts. I've come back, I've covered it with its cover and come back, and the paint's still been good a day or two later. So wet palette's a really nice way to work. The one I'm using is an Army Painter. We sell it at the store. It's nice because it's small. It's over here. And then it's got an insert that holds some brushes. And then it's got a cover that goes over that, and then a strap to kind of seal it down. So it's a nice little setup for doing that. I just did Thor. I'm going to come back and finish up the rim of Daredevil, and then I'm going to give these guys a break and go look at that Tree Lord Ancient and the picture for him and see what we want to do with it. I have a feeling most people, and I used to as well, do the bases last. And there's good reason to do a base last, especially, you know, if you're gonna, you know, use the base to, you know, hold the model and things like that. But because I'm dry brushing these bases with a relatively large dry brush for that grayscale effect, I don't want to paint my model and then accidentally dry brush onto my model and have to repair my model. So instead, I'm doing these bases first. And then when I focus on the model, I won't have to worry about later on dry brushing the base. Now, if I was painting the bases and doing a different look for the bases, that could be a different situation. But also just touching up a few areas where I see that either I missed or the paint started to dry and uncover some of the primer. All right, there we go. So I got the first stage of the base work I wanted to get done. Now I'm going to bring over our friend, the Tree Lord Ancient, who's a pretty large model. And we're going to see what we want to do with this guy. All right, let's go to the book and see what they have for a picture here. Looking for a picture of just him, not with all these other things around, so I can really... Here we go. Wow, okay. This is quite interesting. Not sure if people can see. I'm going to try to, let me move the model here just to give people a sense of what we're talking about. So the Tree Lord Ancient What is this guy right here? Oh, that's a Tree Lord. There's the Tree Lord Ancient there with his staff. And this is the Spirit of Durthu, which I also have, but I'm not painting him today. I wasn't ready to tackle that sword. I want to give that some thought. So, that being said, it looks like they are doing what I kind of mentioned. They have his armor plates in a darker brown or green. Interesting. Do I want my Tree Lord Ancient to have some brown or some green? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. So, one of the things I have learned while painting is I don't want to start him with his outer shell, because then painting his inner shell is going to be difficult. So I'm going to want to go in and get all his inner parts that aren't the outer armor that we'll be doing after. So that being said, his lighter parts, yeah, man, interesting. I gotta find a color I want to use for his lighter parts. I think that's also going to be part of his head stems here. And I think I'm going to want to try a contrast to kind of give me what I'm looking for to start. So I think snakebite leather. There is is it Guilliman flesh? See, the green I think I will use on his outer piece. Not entirely sure, people. Not entirely sure. Let me just see if they have any other pictures of them that show anything different. Give me a sense of... Well, they have one where he's got like old berries on him and stuff. Yeah, they do the brown. You know, I think I'm going to do his undertone a green, and then his overtone a brown. Yep, I'm just going to make that decision. If I don't like how it looks, oh well. We can always do something different after. So undertone green, I'm going to use Militarum green to start the contrast paint, because I think Orc Flesh is a little too bright for what we're too green. This color's more of a, yeah, this looks like more of a nature green than that one. And we're going to do this not on the armor plates, but on everything under the armor plates. His feet, his legs under the armor, his stomach, his neck, and some of his branches. Now, I've heard different things about contrast paint, and I've been using it a little bit. I got to shake it a lot to get this all blended. I'll try to do that off camera. You know, I think when I first got into contrast paints, it was, you know, slop it on thick like you do with a shade. And, you know, depending on the model, that tends to not look great. And I've talked to some other people, Steve predominantly, who believes the contrast, you know, you could do it thin and then do a second coat if you need to. And I've tried that on a few models, and I've kind of liked that look. It's also neater and easier to work with, though maybe not as quick as slopping it on. So I'm not going to need the wet palette for the contrast paint. Let's put this over here for now. And we're going to have at thee here. Just in case I need something with my brush, I'll bring this over. And I think we'll use, I really like this round one. I think we'll just keep using this round one. All right, looks pretty mixed. A little water. Yep. That's the color I want. Now, some of you may be watching that are very good painters that would say, you know, go ahead and mix paint. And I understand mixing paint, but I am not at that level yet where I'm comfortable knowing how paint pigments and colors will interact with each other and what I'm looking to achieve by that. So I'm pretty much Mr. Basic, going with whatever colors I own or can go buy. I'm not looking to make my own. I'm going to start on the back side of the model where some of the armor's not as visible, so I can just see how this green is going to look. I think it looks pretty good. Yep, that's what I'm going for. All right. I'm going to have to check back on this model from time to time to really see where I believe it's armor and where I believe it's skin. You would think it was self-explanatory, but like I said, my eyesight not always the best, and I'm not always seeing, you know, I've cut things off of models before thinking, you know, oh, that's not part of the model. Lo and behold, it was part of the model. So I'll be a little careful here as I paint. Now, the one good thing, I'm doing the inner parts first, which also happens to be a lighter paint. The green will be lighter than the darker brown I'm using. So if I make a few mistakes, it shouldn't be that hard to clean up and fix. And I'm not, and this isn't the best strategy, but I am not staying in one spot because I kind of want to just touch some areas that I know aren't armor, just to kind of see from a distance some of the model and where its non-armor pieces are. I keep saying armor, it's not metallic armor, you know, tree bark armor, for lack of a better term there. I'm also going to do all his branches coming off in this green, though I'm not going to do much with his skin. That's this green, but the outer pieces, the branches, I will dry brush or layer some different lighter greens and yellows and other tones, maybe oranges, to add some nice depth to this guy. But for the skin that's under the armor, it's just going to be this straight green for the most part. My daughter's texting me my oldest daughter is texting me some of her Easter ideas for treats she wants to make tonight. She loves food. So behind his knee here is going to be green. Yeah, it took me, I got panicked for a second. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I do think I want green and brown is going to be how I like this guy. And then I'll do something reddish around the top of the staff or something, because I think Steve started this army already with some guys with some red areas, so I'm going to try to hold to that for some of this. But not this guy. This guy is going to be green underneath. And he's big, and there is a lot of little areas to deal with this green, so this is going to be somewhat of a big task, but that's okay. And again, I'm not slopping this on. Sadly, I might require a second coat in some areas, and I say sadly just because it's a lot of fine detail work that opens me up for potential mistakes, but it's okay. Never painted before while talking to a camera, so this is a new experience for me. Let's see. Yeah, so his face is not armored, so his face is going to get some of this green here up through these branches, horns or antlers, I don't know what. I haven't read a lot of the, ooh, look at this guy. Look at that. That must have already been partially snapped. because there's no way painting it with a brush caused it to break. We'll deal with that later. Yeah, I haven't read a lot of the lore for Sylvaneth yet, so I just like their look, which is why I grabbed them. So I've read lore for some of the other armies I have, not this one yet. I will get to it, so I understand a little bit more about what they're about. But they are a pretty army. Just trying to see here. There you go. And for anything I care about on him, like his face and these viney, antlery things, we will do more than just the green. We will add some highlights to it. But again, the areas that are under armor, we will keep this straight green. Maybe do a full wash over the whole model, which will enrich in that green a little bit, but not much more than that. As I look at the picture in the book, most of the non-armor is hard to see detail on. You just really see the colors, so. But again, this is our opportunity to kind of expand the channel, do things other than just play games. So if you like this kind of stuff and want to see more of it or something different, whether, you know, different types of models or whatever, just let us know. And as always, if you could like and subscribe and share the channel with people you think would like what we have to offer, we would greatly appreciate it. We are trying to grow and make some purchases to better our equipment and some of our offerings and options that we can give to the audience. So Brant is better at all those pitches. I'm just giving a friendly reminder. Alrighty, it's just, again, I'm jumping all over on this model. I just want to cover some areas with green to just get a sense if I like what I'm seeing, and so far I do. I'm going to do a stomach area now. I haven't finished his head, but I want to get this paint on some of these main areas so I can kind of take a step back and look and see, you know, what we're doing here. For those of you that celebrate Easter, happy Easter weekend. Tomorrow is Easter. I know with COVID it's hard for people to maybe do what they normally would have done. I would like to go to brunch with my entire family, but that is not happening. I think we'll be brunching at home and doing probably some kind of, we do this interesting thing in my house where the kids get clues and Easter eggs and then have to go find their Easter basket by hunting down clues, egg after egg, until the last clue reveals the location of their basket. And though all three of my children are older now, they still love doing it, so we will continue to do it as long as they find enjoyment of that. So, all right, there's his stomach area. Nice. I'm looking at the picture over here just to get a sense. Put him down. See if you can see the stomach. See the green under there, some of the green on the feet, some of the green on the top of the head. I haven't done his face yet. I just want to get another look at this picture and see what they're identifying as his skin. He's got some area in his armpit. Armpit, neck. His face could be a slightly different color, so I'm not going to paint his face just yet. Yeah, so his face does seem to be an armor plate or a face plate, but his head and neck are not. So we're going to go around his head and neck and do these. My guess is nothing will be fully done today during the stream, so I'll have to make a decision whether I'll continue these on the next stream or finish them on my own and show you guys a finished product on a later stream. But we'll see how far we get with some of these and where we are. I just don't want to bore everybody because it's like, you know, an interesting idea here, just painting and talking. When I get a partner in crime on here, we can talk to each other and get ideas off each other, and that'll probably be more entertaining because we can kind of have some friendly banter. I love to tease Brant when we're on together and give him a little hard time. It's good for him. Sometimes he's ready for it, and sometimes I catch him completely off guard, and that makes me laugh. Poor guy. There we go. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm liking the look of that. Now I just gotta get some detail here when I'm considering the faceplate and not the faceplate, and just not get it on his face. Get a little more water on there. Right there. There we go. All right. Let's go back down to his other right foot here. His left foot. I'm looking at it from my right, but it's his left. I think after this we'll go to Daredevil and do a little bit of his, I think we'll just contrast red his whole suit. Get that as a base in there and then see where we go from there. Still playing with him. Luckily Daredevil's not that complicated of a hero to do. He's got a little bit of skin under the mask, and he's got a lot of red. He's got his baton, which shouldn't be too difficult to do. And then just under these armor plates here. Tell you, the one thing I've not mastered yet on any of these streams is, you know, it's kind of like driving backwards or driving backwards with a trailer. Is like I turn the model one way, but it turns out to be opposite of what I wanted to show people, and it hasn't become second nature to me yet to know which way I'm showing something on camera. But with a little practice, hopefully we'll get better at that. It's just a funny little thing that kind of makes me laugh. When I was testing this out before going live, I was all over the place, moving stuff and trying to see what made sense. There we go. I'll do this side of his underleg. Alrighty. Just got to be careful. I tend to get you know, I try not to rush, but it's so easy with contrast paint to just like forget to get a little water in there and to be careful not to just start drying it out and rushing what you're doing. So, working on that. Patience, grasshopper, is what I gotta tell myself, patience. I'm behind his knee now. I will say I've seen some great painters work, and models tend to look terrible until they're done. Like, it's amazing. I always think, wow, that looks terrible. And then when the guy's done, it looks great. Now, I'm not saying this is going to look great, but I do expect it to look worse before it looks better. But we'll see. We will see. Is that thing coming out of his knee going to be the same color as his skin? I don't know. This is definitely an interesting model. Wow. He's got a lot of area here. A lot of area. Today is Saturday, so now I am officially 4 weeks in a day past my vaccination. So in theory, I am safe, whatever that means, somewhat protected. Yeah, I'm just having a hard time picking out what needs to be green versus what does not, because there's some stuff that's clearly not armor, but I don't know that it's going to be his skin. I'll make it green for now, and I could always decide to highlight it a slightly different color afterwards, including this thing coming off of his knee here that's just shooting out. Is clearly not armor. It's almost like a detached ligament shooting out from his knee here. So we'll just paint that green. Because again, just by doing this, it's, as I step away from the model, I'm able to get a visual cue of where I've done, where I haven't done. If anything else looks like it should be green or not be green. So his other knee is hidden behind his little waist tunic-y thing here. I don't know what these are called when they come from your waist and hang down, but if someone knows, feel free to tell me. For now, it's my waist tunic. And I know a tunic goes over your whole upper body, so I know it's not a tunic, but I call it a waist tunic. I'm making up words. That's okay. There we go. So I got HBO Max to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League cut. And I've now discovered that there's a lot of other stuff I like on there. I started watching the Titans show, which is nothing like you'd expect for Teen Titans. It's a little older and darker, but it's fun. It's DC, it's superhero-ish, so I'm enjoying it. Our benefactor Brian just walked back here. I'm trying to get him to paint. I think is a monumental task. He looks like he's looking for something. He's highly distracted and not giving me any attention. But that is okay. Hi, Brian. Good. It's going. We're live. We've done some bases on other guys, and we're doing a little bit of this guy's skin and antlers, and then we're going to go back to Daredevil and do him. Brian's been on to chat a little bit to tell me if my sound was okay and other stuff. So we're experimenting here at Step Into the Portal. How's things out in the store? Are you busy?
Yeah, it's been steady. So
Good. That's always good. Always good. Keep the lights on, Brian. Keep the lights on.
All right, you want those
Oh, man. I will say these antlers, for lack of a better term, with the contrast paint is really tricky. Never really done contrast on something like this, and I keep getting a little thrown off because I look at it and the area that the contrast is naturally highlighting looks like I didn't get any paint on it, but I know I did. I just got to have patience, let it dry, and then see what the outcome is and see if I need to do more. I am going to wind up highlighting these some other colors anyway, so I don't think it's major if I don't get them all perfect. Well, we will see. Oh, I just gave you guys a knuckle sandwich there. I apologize. That was, yeah, me being a little uncoordinated. I apologize. So I got behind his knees, his feet, this elbow, I got to do the inside. He doesn't have outer elbow on this right arm holding the staff because it's outstretched, but he has an under elbow, whatever you call the inner part of your elbow here. Your elbow pit. I coach a bunch of high school sports. I once had a kid, as I was struggling to figure out what to call it, he called it an elbow pit, which is interesting. If your arm has an armpit, I guess your elbow can have an elbow pit. Just making up words on stream today. That is good. That is good. Yeah, definitely gonna need a second coat of this green in areas, but I'm envisioning right now the brown, and I'm getting excited, liking the difference between the green and the brown. So I do think that it's going to be to my liking in the long term. You know, and sometimes if I wasn't on stream at this point, I probably would have stepped away and just taken a break, because you can tend to get yourself, your eyes can start to go a little stir crazy, your hand can get a little unsteady. So it's always okay when you're painting, you know, to take a little break, but I don't want to leave you guys high and dry. I know not a lot of people, if anyone, are on right now, but I know someone's going to come back at some point and watch, and I'd hate to just disappear for an amount of time. So I'm just going to keep chugging here and see where we get to. I didn't do this bottom part of his foot, so let's do that. There we go. Bottom part of foot done. Good. Do the back a little bit. That's the foot armor. Don't want to touch that. There's the inner part of his back foot there. Yeah, as I'm painting this guy, I'm realizing he's got a lot of cool little details. A lot of cool little details. All right, let's put him down. Let's put my brush in some water. Let's close this paint and shake it again. And I'll just take a look and see if there's any egregious areas that were missed with green. I know I've not done all the spiky bits, but that's okay, because I think those could be different colors. I think some could be green, some could be orange, yellow. I think that'll look cool, kind of like a fall tree with different colors on it. Just look in the book real quick and see if there's any other glaring pieces of skin I missed. So part of his, so this elbow coming down should be his natural skin color. other than that, a little bit around his hands. And I seem to have gotten all the other pieces. Okay. Not bad, people, not bad. We're cooking with gas now. Okay, let's see what we can do here with, yeah, right here in this hand. Just like his wrist. And his fingers, because the back part of his hand has that bark armor plate. Okay. Like I said, stuff like his fingers, being it's more exposed than some of his underbelly and feet skin, we'll do some highlighting on it to make it a little richer later on. For now, we're just getting the green. A little wrist joint there that's showing. He's got these tendrils coming down from his shoulder area. Get him on this side. It is still pretty early on a Saturday. So you got probably at 12:17, so we're not everybody's awake yet, depending on what coast you're on. Get a little bit more of that in there. I keep coming back to these antlers just because as I see areas of white, I'm like, let me do a little more with it. I'm going to do it from the back side. It's funny, as you turn the model and get different angles, you start to see areas that you didn't see before on a model like this, just because it's so big and it's got so many little bits. Now we got to do this hand. Here we go. This hand's actually exposed on the inside. Do a little bit of that. Again, a year ago, if I was doing this model, I would have probably doused the whole thing in this green without giving it much thought, and then would have gone back over the brown areas over the green, and I'd already be on the brown at this point. But that is not a good way to paint. It's a quick way, but I've learned it's not the right way, and I'm trying to do this closer to the right way as best as I can. I'm going to get these knuckles here. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to call these first finger joints his fingers and paint those green, but then these like talons he's got off this, we're not going to paint green, and we're going to figure out a thing on those. Maybe like a glowing red or orange or something, make it look menacing. This is the spellcaster, one of the spellcasters in the army. But at his size, he's still pretty good combat-wise, especially for a spellcaster. And he's a giant tree, so you know. These guys have this foot stomp ability that's really cool. I think they got to roll like a 4+ at the start of combat, and pick a model or a unit within 3 inches of them, and that model or unit attacks last. So you got this guy plus a Spirit of Durthu, maybe another Tree Lord, and you can make a bunch of your opponent's really good models go last and give you a little bit of a combat advantage. It's a cool little trick. cool little trick. Trying to see, got the elbow, got the hands. This outer hand here is not that well done. Need a little more there. That's good. I gotta do his wrist a little more. And then we'll move over to Daredevil. Give this guy a break now that most of his green is done. I'm sure I didn't get it all, and I'm sure there's some areas that I want to do more. But the branches that are coming off his armor, I want to do different than just the pure green that I'm doing. The branches coming off his skin. I did miss one here, this elbow drop down. Almost looks like a bunch of torn stringy wood, which actually would make sense. I guess a tree is moving. Some of these are giving way. Here we go, I like that. It's a little better. I'll pick the camera up in a second and show you a distant look at this, because I think from a distance, as you start to see where I painted green now, it makes some sense. I wasn't sure it was gonna at first, but now as I'm taking a look at the whole model, it's I'm actually quite happy with the green and where I chose to put it. Though, I mean, I chose to put it where the Army book showed him to have an undercolor, so it's not like it's that much of a stretch. But like I said, I didn't do all of his head branches here, but let's see, bear with me, camera moving. And you can see where he's got green under the belly, the elbow, the hand, the shoulder, some of the head. I tried not to be too messy, even though it was contrast paint. Same thing here behind the feet. See some of the elbow, you see his upper hand here. The palm I did green, but I'm going to do something different with the claws. So let's put this back here. So that's a start on the Tree Lord Ancient. I'm going to move him off to the side here and bring back Daredevil. Now Daredevil, we're going to do a couple parts at once too. We're going to do the dry brushing of the base first, and then we're going to do the red of his suit. And again, we'll be careful with the red not to get it on the dry brush base, as well as not to get it on his baton, but I'm going to do it all in red. Let's just look, as we look at the Daredevil picture here, he is pretty much all red. A lot of shading, a lot of darkness there, and his eyes are a little different shade of red, and of course he's got the skin and the white teeth, so we'll do all of that as well. But let's start. Where's our Dawn Stone? Is over here. Bring our wet palette back. Oh, well, I got the wet palette back, but I don't really need it. I'm realizing I'm dry brushing. Not painting the Dawn Stone, so just shaking it off camera a little bit. Get a little Dawn Stone on my dry brush. Let's see how we do here. He's got like a little gravestone. He's got bricks. So again, I'm not doing this base, you know, I'm not doing the bricks red or anything. I'm literally just doing a grayscale dry brush so that the model is what catches people's eyes and not the base. This is you know, probably do like one step lighter than this Dawnstone, and then maybe like a white or some kind of bone after this, just for a last little highlight. And that's literally all we're gonna do with the base. Get a little more inside the grave stone here. There we go. All right, that's that. Yeah, while I'm here, let's just do Thor as well, because he's got the same thing with his base. A little bit of Dawnstone on this. Thor's got these cool little rocks that probably would be grayscale anyway, so his base is probably going to look closer to what you would expect it to look like if someone was painting it anyways. But again, as you can see, I'm hitting the Thor model a lot because of his cape, which is why I'm choosing to do the dry brushing of the base before doing anything else to Thor. Daredevil's a little easier because he's only got that one contact point on the base, so I could do some of the base dry brushing after doing the red, and I should be able to be very safe and not get it over the red of Daredevil. But looks pretty good. I like that look for Thor's base here. Nice little dry brush. You can see that. So that is that. I'll put him back. Dunk this brush in a little bit of water. It's funny, at home I paint in sweatpants, and I tend to start getting, my wife gets mad, but I tend to start wiping the brushes off on my pants at some point. But I have relatively nice shorts on, so I think I'm gonna not do that. All right, people, now the $1 million question. We have to do red, and I think we're gonna just be simple and go Blood Angels red contrast over his whole suit, very lightly. See how that looks, and either come back with a second Blood Angels red or then start layering after that. But I think this is the red I want to start with. I think there's another contrast red. I know I have it, I just don't know how accessible it is. I don't know that I want it to be that red though, because that's like a, I forget, like a Blood Gore or something red. I don't even see that contrast one here. World Bearers red. No, maybe it's not a contrast, maybe it's just a layer. So yeah, we're not going to use that. Yeah, and see, I got the Screamer pink here, which I think is going to be one of the highlights I use, along with either, no, not that one, Mephiston red, I think. I think Mephiston red will go after the Blood Angels contrast red. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, this is when I get nervous. Because once you go down this path, there's no coming back. Alrighty. Bring this over here. Okay. Okay, Daredevil. I'm going to start on his back side here. Very light. And again, even though I'm doing the whole model in red, I'm still doing even strokes, and I'm still trying to not go onto sections that I'm not on yet, just so I can keep an even coat. It'd be very easy for me to get lazy and sloppy and just run right over this model here, but I really want to keep my strokes consistent and stay in one section of the model at a time as to keep consistency. We did see in his picture he's got a lot of a lot of like gray shading and things. So we'll see. Once this red is down and we let the contrast do its job, we'll see where we think we want to go from there. I definitely like this red. I think it's fitting for Daredevil. I think we'll definitely be doing a darker wash over this before highlighting to kind of get some of those, that dark shading we saw in the picture of his card for the game. I haven't played Daredevil yet in Marvel Crisis Protocol, so I don't know if he's any good. He is a comic that I did read some when I was younger. Did enjoy Matt Murdock. So I will want to try him. He's also, I think, a very good model for a beginner painter to kind of test some things out on, because like I said, there's not, you know, a lot of differentiation. You know, it's red, right? But then you can play with the red, you can play with the shading and the highlighting to kind of see what you're getting. And I think, you know, not having to worry about a million colors on this model is not easy, but it's exciting, and it makes the plan of attack and what you're doing just, you know, a little more user-friendly for a new painter, which is one of the reasons I chose this model for today. Because one, I already had him based. I don't have everything based yet. But two, I figured I'd be just doing the red and the highlighting with him today to get a sense of that and give people that opportunity. Because, you know, when I look at this guy and I say, you know, if we could do this guy well, we can then tackle Venom, Punisher, other models that have predominantly one color. But you don't want to just paint a singular color and leave a model, because there'll be no detail. So you're going to want to highlight and shade. So highlighting and shading one color on a model, I think, is a good way to practice versus trying to do multiple colors or complex uniforms that have lots of little bits. So I'm just getting a little slow when I go around the feet, just because I don't want to get red on the grayscale. There we go. I am asthmatic. I tend to be a heavy breather, so I'm trying not to over breathe to everybody on stream here. Mouth breather for sure. But it's okay. There we go, a little more red here. I just got to do a little piece of the bottom of his foot by the gravestone. There we go. Yeah, and this contrast paint definitely, you know, I will cover this whole model, and in an hour when it's fully dry, you will see areas that look like I missed, and it's just that little bit of paint shrinkage that I was talking about tends to happen more with the contrast paints, I feel like, than with other paints, but that's okay. Now he has in his suit, he's got these lines, which I'm gonna go just a tiny bit thicker by the lines, but that's okay, because that's gonna be where we wanna be darker, because it's a recess. Now, if I was getting crazy, I could black ink those lines later on, but I'm not there. I don't think I need to. I think we'll do a nice Agrax Earth shade or some other shade that'll get in those lines pretty nicely. And then we'll, you know, highlight over the exposed red areas after shading. And I think that'll give it a good 3 or 4 layers of of shading and highlighting that'll look reasonably well. Because this contrast paint alone is giving it like a base, a highlight, and a shade already, all within this red. So if we add one shade and one highlight, we'll really, I think, get a good smattering of tones of red in that shade and highlight. Doing his arms now. I realize I'm going to try to change my body position. Our camera and all our setup here is set up at this bigger, like, war table, and not great for painting just because I'm on a stool and my feet can't go under. And you know, next time I think I'll have. This was my first time technically setting up a stream, so it took some doing. Now that I know what I'm doing to set it up, I think I can move some equipment around and go over to a table that'll allow me to sit at a chair, which means I'll be able to position some things better for viewing for the audience. At least that is my hope. That's if we do this again, you know, if people like it, we'll do it again. And like I said, I'll get someone on with me next time so that you can see a couple people painting at once and talking about it and ideas shared and things like that. Because I've done my best painting of late when I'm with another person that's a better painter than me, and I often will ask, hey, what do you think of this color? Hey, what do you think I should do next? And that's okay. I do not need to know it all myself. I have no problem asking for help and getting people's opinions on how to make my model look better. So I'm on his back shoulders here. I have a feeling, I didn't realize how tight his baton was to his back, so I might have gotten a little red on the underside of this, which won't be a big deal because I'm going to do that in black later, and that won't be seen. It's definitely doing its job. Love contrast paint. Love, love, love it. So when I was a kid, my parents used to make fun of me because I'd stick my tongue out when I was concentrating. So I'm actually concentrating on not sticking my tongue out right now. But I'm also not too chatty because I'm just onto all the little detail areas that I don't want to get red on other parts that shouldn't be red. So I'm getting a little quiet, I apologize, but once I'm done with this part, I can give you more of a monologue. Ooh, boy, boy. I didn't think his hands were going to stress me out so much, but he's got these little fingers and it's right. Oh yeah, I can lift this up. Okay, let's get creative here. Oh, look at that. Man, oh man, I just lifted the thing away from the hand. Oh man, I wish I thought of that earlier. The other one I can't do that with because it's in his hand, but there we go. There we go. Okay, that hand is done. You can see here he's mostly done. Doing his horns now on the top of his head. Gonna take very good care not to do the skin part of him. A lot of people would do the skin first. Again, because the red is so dark, I'm fearful that if I did the skin first and made a mistake with the red, I would be in trouble. So I would rather do this, and then if I make a mistake with the red, I can then go over it. I'm also going to do his eyes because his eyes tend to glow red, at least in that picture. So I'm just going to pop these in, and then maybe with a yellow or orange pen or something, I will try to get a nice little glow in that eye socket. Okay, sorry people, I'm getting real close to the table just because I'm very close to. This is where my eyes need to be tight because, whoa. There we go. Didn't get any on his face yet. I still got a little more red to do around his neck, but that's a little safer. Watch, I'm going to get sloppy and say that, and then I'm going to hit his face. Okay. Still good. Now on his neck, his Adam's apple, and he's got just a little bit of mask that goes under his chin here. I probably should have done this, and I didn't. I probably could have went to a thinner brush for around his face, but you know what? I didn't feel like it. Got it. All right, all I got left is his hand that's holding the baton. So we'll do that. Then we'll let this guy dry and see how that red contrast looks and see what it did for shading and whatnot. And then we'll go from there. I think when I put this model down, I'll take a quick 3-minute break and run to the bathroom. I promise not to be gone long. And I don't know how to do the "we'll be right back." That's something Brant and I have talked about, and we will figure out at some point and be able to do that when we want to take a quick, change a game or go get a quick bite to eat or whatever. But in the meantime, I mean, listen, in all fairness, and I'm just saying what I see here, as I look at this right now, I mean, if I wanted to, I could say my red is done. And I think playing the game, putting this model down, let me see if I can put it down for you. In an area you can see it. If I was playing the game, I mean, not the baton, obviously, but the model itself, the contrast does such a good job that, it's not just someone painted thick red on. Like, you see a little highlighting, you see a little shading just with the contrast. And, if I was a real beginner and not interested in going farther, I wouldn't be terribly disappointed with just this red, because this red has some depth to it. But we are doing farther, so we're not going to leave it at that. What we're going to do is we're going to rinse this brush off. Boom, boom, boom. Not use my shorts so I don't get in trouble with the missus. Red is one of those colors I want to make sure is mostly off the brush, which it seems to be. Okay. Put him back up here. And I will be back in 3 to 5 minutes tops. Stay tuned. Thank you. Get the clip off. Clip it on here. And we'll decide what we're doing next. Be right back. water bottle. All right, I'm back. You might not be able to hear me yet. Oh, okay. Take my mask off. Clip my mic on. Okay, hi everybody. How's it going? I'm back. Hopefully it wasn't too long. So before I get into anything else, because I think I'm going to do Thor's Cape next and maybe some Dormammu Firehead. But before I get to that, I have this cool Ogre Maw Pot, which I think just looks awesome. The rules for it are pretty cool. And I want to get at least a few things on it. He's got 2 wooden posts here to the right that I think I could do in a brown. He's got this chain. Got all these skeletons down here. He's got a stone, like this stone butcher block. So I think I'm gonna do the stone butcher block and maybe these brown posts. And he's got this like tattered tarp on top that looks like it could be a bunch of different animal hides. So I might do different shades of brown on that. But let's just pull the picture up of it just as a reference point. See what they're showing us here. I don't even know if there's a picture in here. I kind of assume there is, but it might not be a big solo picture. It might just be, you know, a picture. Yeah, there's a picture of it, you know, yeah, there's a picture of it yeah. There's like a, I don't know what I'm looking to say, like there's a big army picture that has it in there with a bunch of models, but it doesn't show you a ton. Trying to see, I know where the rules for it are. They might have a picture. Let me just see if we can see that. Sometimes the scenery's in the, there it is. All right, there it is, the Great Maw Pot. Let's see if I can get this on camera here. I'll lift this up. So there's the Great Maw Pot. And again, that's what they did. Theirs is pretty dark. You know, I think I'm gonna do the tattered roof a little lighter. I think I'll do the pot mostly metal and the chains metal. We'll see. So remember what I said, we should have a plan, which I currently don't. So let's develop one. Let's do, let's just do these brown posts while we're here and the brown of this tarp. So I think for the posts, we're gonna go with the, where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Cygor Brown. I think I'm gonna use Cygor Brown, and I think I'm gonna try to pick a couple of animal skins here that have been put on this top piece, and I think I'm gonna do a couple, instead of doing this whole thing and then doing dry brushing, I think I'm gonna try to paint each one individually. But what I'm gonna do is the dark Cygor, I'm gonna do all the lower ones dark. And then these upper ones will be different. So this Cygor does not have a metal ball in it, so we're gonna get this in there because this is dark enough that I don't know how well it's being mixed or not, so I just wanna get that in there and get a good mix. Because if you ever get the, like the Apothecary white contrast, you know, you'll see a bunch of gray at the bottom of that. And, or even like this Gryph-Charger gray. I don't know if you can see, let's see, what's the best angle here? See, if you see that, it looks dark gray, but then if you look at the bottom, it's wicked blue. So the only way, before you use this paint, you gotta shake this so good that all that blue is gone, and it's gonna make all this gray a little gray blue. And like if I shake it without the bead, it's gonna be a long time before that blue's gone, but I put the bead in and that does a pretty good job on it. Only issue with this brown is it's so dark, I can't tell if there's sediment at the bottom of it, so I'm just assuming there's some sediment at the bottom of it, and I'm just gonna shake it really good for about a minute. And then we'll go from there. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. And then the stew itself in there, it looks like it's got bones and skeletons and carrots. So I'll probably make the broth almost like a gory red. And then I'll paint all those little things in the broth. Okay, I think that's good. It's a nice dark, rich brown. A little water, a little brown. This thing is so big. I think I'm gonna just move this a little closer to you guys. Get my left hand out of here and just go on the, yeah, there we go. Go on the, and just do the bottommost skins in this dark tone. And what's really nice about this with the contrast is if I go a little too thick in some areas and it gets darker, that's kind of the look we want for this anyways, because this, you got to figure these are cured skins that have been dyed or not dyed, and there's different shades. So having it look a little messy is probably okay, because that's probably what I would envision this to look like if ogres were a real thing and they really had a pot that they cooked their enemies in. So yeah, that made, yeah. So let's get that in there. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah. I also wanted to test this brown out on this because this was the brown I was thinking of doing for the armor of the Tree Lord Ancient. So I really wanted to see it in action before using it on the Tree Lord Ancient. So, and again, we're right now wet. It's very dark. I'm gonna see when it dries how dark it actually is. But I think, you know, I think I like this idea of the dark on the bottom skins, and then we'll make the top skins lighter, maybe some snakebite leather. Maybe one of them will be a gray. Maybe it was like a gray wolf that they used. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how they made this, what animals they use, so we're going to just do whatever colors we want. It's ours after all, so that's one thing I will say. We had a painting competition recently at the store, no employees, customers, and a few people were coming in asking, like, about the work they did and what they, what we thought or what they thought. And at the end of the day, Steve and I were talking. Yeah, I mean, art is subjective, and some people like what they see and some don't. But when it comes to your models that you are painting for yourself, whether it's for your board game or your minis game, it doesn't matter if other people like them. It doesn't matter if someone says, "Why are your Star Wars Legion stormtroopers pink or purple or green? They're supposed to be white." It's like, it's what you envision and what you want to do. It's yours, and art is subjective, and it's what you like. So, even though this is a hobby, it is still art, and you have the freedom to do whatever you like with your art. So if you decide your green skin orcs are red orcs, that's your call, man. That's, I don't think there's any problem with that at all. You just got to be okay with, there'll be some people in the world who go, oh, I don't like that, and so what? Who cares? That's their problem, not yours. It's not theirs, so not their model. So I think if you can get to that point where you like what you're doing and you don't care what someone else thinks of what you're doing when it comes to your models, go for it, man. Have some fun and experiment and see what works for you. I don't think, other people should be judging. You put your stuff in a painting competition, then, you just got to be prepared for, it maybe doesn't win because people are looking for something different than what you did, but that's okay. I have gotten to that point where at first I was so worried. I'm probably harder on myself than, people will be when they see some of my work, and that's okay too. Just don't get in your own way. Don't get so hard on yourself or so perfectionist that you don't get stuff done, because you're constantly, I'm going to tease Steve right now because he can't fight back because he's not here. I think Steve does some great work, and he did a Magneto and a Venom that I absolutely loved. Absolutely loved. And I actually gave him my Magneto because he likes trying things, and I said, you know what, I am okay if you want to try my Magneto with a different color scheme, like if you want to do the Magneto after Professor Xavier ripped the evil out of his head and do him in all white. I don't know, for those of you not familiar with the comics, but there was this, white outfitted Magneto, and he was cool, and Steve's like, yeah, I want to try that. So I gave him my Magneto to try that with, and then he sends me a picture of his Magneto that I thought was so well done, and he was stripping it down and redoing it. I said, what are you doing? I said, that model was gorgeous. I loved it. I would have taken it and you could have kept my Magneto. He's like, nah, it wasn't perfect. I want to, he wanted to do something different with it. And he did the same thing with his Venom, which I also thought came out really well. So again, that's his choice, his model. He wanted to put that extra work in and change it up. That's fine. I thought it looked great. He wasn't happy with it. His model, his choice. So I did tell him, though, next go round, if it looks that good again and he doesn't like it, that I'll just take it and buy him a new one. And he doesn't have to strip it down. He could just paint a new one because, I'll take it. It looked great. Now I think, and I don't know what people think, but I'm trying to just kind of decide where I want this dark brown. I said I was only going to do the lowest edges. As I'm looking at it, I'm a balanced person. I like some balance. So I think I'm going to do a couple of the mid-range skins dark too, just because I want enough darkness on this to kind of counterbalance the light I plan on doing after on the top. So I'm going to do that one there. And I feel like I need some more dark. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this one right here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to do like this one here, dark as well. And then that'll be pretty good. Maybe this one over here too. And then I'll go get some lighter browns. And I'm going to do this all at once. I mean, this, like I said, I think this could be messy. This is, again, animal skins that were taken to make this, so I don't think it's going to be perfect. I think some level of understanding that the way you cure skin and dye skin, animal hides and stuff, it's not going to always look perfect. So I'm just trying to make it consistent. Like I'm on the sides here, so whatever dark side I have, I want to then, whatever top is dark, I'm going to make the side connected to it dark, and then whatever top side is light, I'll make this side connected to that light as well. So it does, so they look like individual skins put up here. So I actually had no idea I was going to do this coming in until I started talking to the internet. And this just kind of came to me, and I don't know how it's going to look, but I like the idea of it, and I'm sticking with it because I'm excited because I think thematically, it makes sense to me that these skins are from different animals and different tones, etc. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I just got to do this side here, and I think I'll be done with the dark skin, and we'll move on to I think snakebite leather for a few of the upper skins. And I know, oh man, yes. Oh, people, I didn't think of that. I'm going to do it now while I have it out. There's a bottom to this. Now, the bottom to this, I don't think needs to be crazy. I think I'm just going to do the bottom all dark instead of, you know, and then maybe I'll dry brush the bottom with some lighter tones just so it's, but I don't need to. I mean, someone who was a professional painter that wanted to win a competition, I'm sure would go under this and paint it to exactly match the skin above it. But no one, when I play this game, I am not flipping this model over. You're never going to see the underside of it. Quite honestly, I could probably leave it primed and be done. But I'm on stream and, you know, trying to do things right, so let's at least give it a coat of Cygor brown here. And like I said, I'll probably dry brush the bottom of this to give it some depth. But again, no one other than someone looking to examine the model is going to see the bottom of this model in play at all. Nobody. As a matter of fact, I'm going to switch over to a slightly bigger brush just to get this bottom done quicker, because it is just the bottom. That guy's stiffer than I want. This guy's good. This guy's good too. We'll use this guy. There we go. Yeah, there we go. And actually, if I do it sloppy like this on the bottom, I'll naturally get some darker and lighter tones based on, you know, how much pressure I'm putting on the brush and how much paint is on the brush. So we'll get some of that, what we're looking for in the bottom here before the dry brush, just with this. My phone's buzzing. Steve, what time are you painting? Hey, all right, let's call Steve on FaceTime. Let's stress him out. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm going to open my text from Steve, and we're going to click him and go FaceTime. Let's see if he answers. Put him on camera. Oh, did he just ignore me there? That's kind of rude. Oh, wow. I guess I'll text him back. I am painting now. If you can come soon, we will be at this a bit, or another time works too. All right, we'll see what he says. Let's get back under this Mawpot. Almost done with this bottom section. Like I said, sloppy bottom because, again, no one's going to see under here. Inner sides of this too. Inner sides of this. Do that under there. Okay, that feels good. Okay, underside is done. All right, now for the exciting part. Let's put another color brown on here. Put that over there. Clean these two brushes. Oh boy, there's stream going. Say hello if you were watching. Good job, Branch. What's the big model behind DD? It looks, behind Daredevil. Okay, so someone new's on. I'm going to put this to the side. This is a Tree Lord Ancient. from the Sylvaneth army. He's one of the heroes. He's a spellcaster, and so far we picked green, a green contrast as his underskin, and some of his branches, and then his armored bark is going to be a brown. Originally I thought I was going to do this Cygor brown, but it's coming out pretty dark on this other model, so we might look to change that up. So for those just joining, we are on an Ogre Mawpot here, the Great Mawpot, and we just decided that we have this tattered pelt covering that we're doing some different colors. We did the dark brown at the lower pelts, and then I'm going to do some lighter brown, and then maybe some gray, some yellowish brown, and see what that gives us. So I think the next one I want to do is snakebite leather, which is right here. Let's see if it has a bead in it. It does. So we'll shake this up pretty good. So who is that? It's so hard for me to read. Shansha9. Thanks for joining us. Always fun to have someone to talk to. I've been, monologuing. I'm sure I've been quite boring, but that's okay. I'm doing some painting. Steve texted back he doesn't have FaceTime, so that's okay. So now we're gonna go at this and see. Now the snakebite leather wet looks dark, but I know as it dries, it's nowhere near the darkness that this Cygor brown is. So let's do this one right here with snakebite and see how different. And it's okay if a little bit of the snakebite goes onto the Cygor because it's lighter. I don't think it'll show that much. Yeah, it's definitely lighter. This looks good. I like this idea of these different colored pelts. I think I got to get a gray in there, though. I got to assume there's a gray wolf somewhere that they slaughtered for its pelt. Sorry, I mean, I'm taking the ogre thing, I'm really, when you're talking ogres, you kind of get, this is a model that, it's funny. The rules are it starts the game full, and an ogre hero within so many inches of it at the start of the game, at any point during the game could use it to heal themselves or I think a friendly unit nearby. So basically they're eating from this great Mawpot to replenish their life force, but then it's empty. And the interesting part about this army is that once it's empty, the only way to fill it is to kill an enemy model within 6 inches of it. So that leads me to believe that we're refilling it with the fallen enemies in battle. So take for that what you will, but it's ogres, so I guess that's acceptable in their society. Oh, man. It'd be really weird if it filled up with any dead model nearby, including ogres too. So I guess they're technically not cannibals if they're not eating themselves and they're only eating their enemies. Because they are different species. They're not presumably fighting other ogres. Got to do the sides too where we did this snake bite so that the side matches the top of the pelt that's coming down. And we could probably do like a Agrath's Earth shade or another shade over the whole thing to kind of tie all the pelts together and get some of the seams of the pelts that might be missing a little bit of paint. But I think as I'm doing this, I'll show you in a second once I'm done with this other snakebite leather here, what it's looking like with the different, so far the 2 different colors. Go. And I do think a shade over this will do nicely. Nice wash. Kind of tie it all together. So if you can see there, you can see I got 2 snakebite leathers and a bunch of the Cygor browns. I'll probably do another snakebite leather here and maybe one in the middle, so maybe 2 more, and then I'll do a couple grays and something else. We'll wash the whole thing and we'll see what it looks like. Yeah, Steve, I was telling people that you taught me that instead of going thick with the contrast, we go thin. We did that on the Tree Lord Ancient. On this model, though, we've discussed that I'm okay with this section of the model looking a little sloppy because, you know, it's like tanned hide. It's, you know, it's animal hides that were probably dyed and cured, and, you know, it's not always going to be perfectly even. So I almost want a little bit of different coloration and splotchiness on some of these hides, just to kind of show that, you know, that natural aspect of what I'd expect to see out of a tanned hide or whatever. I'm actually talking as if I know how to tan hides. I really don't. I've played enough fantasy games, though, where we've talked about tanning hides and what that process might be. So I'm just making some leaps of judgment and faith here as to how that would be. All right, I want one more. Which one are we gonna do? Which one? I think the middle one. I think we're gonna do the middle one. Right here. Yep, the middle one. Yep. Then I think we'll get one more lighter brown and then a gray, and I think we'll be pretty good. A little more water on this. I don't want this to dry on me. There we go. That's better. Yeah, and I mean, you know, contrast might not always work well on a perfectly smooth, flat surface, but again, these are hides. There's a little fur here. We're going to ink wash this whole thing after with probably Earthshade Agrax, so that'll kind of tie everything together. So there we have so far, let's see, let's get a good angle on it. We have some dark, some light. I might, you know, I think I'm going to do a little more with the Cygor brown. I think I'm going to do one of the upper ones dark brown because I don't want the Agros Dunes. I don't know what that is. Snakebite's what I got. Dark Oath. Dark Oath. I don't know what the heck that is. I'm going to go back to Cygor real quick and do one of the upper ones in the darker brown. I'm not even going to clean my brush from the snakebite leather. A little water on it. And we'll do this corner one over here. Yep, there we go. That's what I wanted. I just wanted a little more dark. The dark being all the ones below. And again, I watered this Cygor more than the lower one, so it'll be a little lighter than the lower Cygor brown pelts I did, but it's darker, and it's more importantly, it's a different shade than the snakebite leather, which is what we want. We just want different versions of browns. All right, that's good. All right, Steve, what'd you say? Agrostone. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. I thought somewhere we had a gray. I think the yellow, the Morag, the Nazdreg yellow is going to be too light. There's no blue pelts that I'm aware of. Guillemine Flesh. How? Yeah, that's pretty dark. Let's try this flesh, people. This will be one of the pelts. One of the pelts we'll make this flesh tone because it's definitely dark enough. And now I gotta find a gray that we like. I think Griffin Charger gray is too blue. I don't know, like a good wolf gray that's a contrast. Let's see what we can find here. Oh, we got Skeleton Horde too. That might be a good color. What's this one? There's a Killing Green. I don't think there's any. Skaven Blight Dinge. Maybe they got some Skaven pelts. I wanted to do it all in contrast, but I don't know that I have a full contrast line of different colored pelts, so. Gilly Flesh is reddish. Okay, I could do that on one or two of these. That's fine. Shake, shake, shake. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, it's a little reddish. That's okay. I like that. Oh yeah. All right, this will be fun. We'll do it on these two pelts right here. Yep, I like it. It works. I'm going a little thicker with it just because I don't want it to actually look like flesh. I don't mind getting it over the Cygor brown below it. I just don't want to get it over the snake blight leather above it because that, yeah, there we go. Yeah. That works. Again, it's in the brown family. It's a different tone of the other one. So again, it just looks like a different pelt, which is all we're looking for. I think I'll do this little section right over here with it too. There we go. That's good. Let's do a I'm going to try the Griffin Charger Gray. I mean, it's animal pelts in the world of Age of Sigmar, right? So if this is what a Griffin Charger looks like, then they'd have a pelt of it. But this was the one we were talking about before. See how blue that is on the bottom versus how gray it is up here? So that's why I got that stainless steel bead in there to really get. This isn't ready to use until all that blue is gone. So we'll see. Once it's all mixed, I'm going to do a test run to see what we think of this color. Oh wow, I got that blue done quick. Oh boy, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this. It's definitely more gray than blue. I think it works as a pelt. We're gonna try. Yeah, that works as a wolf pelt. We'll take it. Or a Griffin pelt. Almost wet blended with a little bit of that snake bite there. That was accidental, but I don't mind it. It's just changing the tone of this a little bit. Yeah, all right, I don't mind this color at all. I thought I would, but I don't. Alrighty. And again, this is what we talked about before. You know, it's you know, when you're doing a model, it's your model, and you got to just like what you're doing. And if you like it, you're good. If you don't like it, you're like, oh, Steve, are you on? Because we were making fun of you before. Well, I was making fun of you. I shouldn't say making fun of you as much as I was commenting on how you took apart a Magneto model that I thought was very well done. And we were just talking about, you know, people got to be happy with their own models, not worry about what other people think of them. And you were not happy with your Magneto, even though I was. go. Then I'm going to let this dry. And then we'll come back to it to do a quick wash over the whole top in one color wash. And then maybe we'll dry brush. We'll pick a color, a singular color, maybe a white or an off-white, to dry brush just some edge highlights along this tarp. And we'll be good with it. I think I lost Steve. I think he's got family over, so he might be on and off at times. That's okay. When he's on, we'll chat with him. There we go. And again, for this one thing, I'm okay being a little sloppy and a little like, oh, do those colors go together? Because again, I'm thinking field of battle. They put this pot together in a hurry. They did it with skin hides that they got, you know, while they were hunting, before battle, whatever. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's what they would have had to protect the butcher using it from the rain. So we see, you know, some dark brown, some snake bite brown, some of that blue-gray Griffin Charger, some of that Guillermo flesh there. We'll let that dry. We'll tie it all together, and we'll go from there. So we'll put this model to the side for now. And I think we will, still want Daredevil to dry a bit. I think we'll bring Thor and Dormammu, oh man, tongue twister. We'll bring him out and see what we're gonna do. So, here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's start with Thor. I think Thor we're gonna put on our holder here because I don't wanna mess him up as I'm doing different parts of him. There we go. And Thor, let's get his card out. Now you would think I know Thor like the back of my hand because I do so much Marvel watching, but I do like to refresh my memory. So Thor's cape is red, as I thought. You can see there. So I'm just going to do his cape first. And I think we're going to use the same red that we used for Daredevil on his cape. Do I want to, or do I want to be different? He's got some good highlights, which I think we'll stick with Blood Angels, and then we'll highlight it differently. Then we highlight Daredevil, because Daredevil's a darker red than Thor's cape. So I think we'll wash Daredevil with an ink before we do any kind of highlighting on Daredevil. Whereas I don't think we will for Thor's cape. I think we'll let the Blood Angels red do all the work we want for it. We'll see. Double check my phone. No one's looking for me. That's a good sign. And like I said, people, you know, we'll see what comments we get on this video. If people want me to come back to these models on stream, we will do that. Or I will finish these off stream and then show you on the next painting stream. And then, you know, go on to new models, whether it's 40K or another game or different models from the same game. Now back to Steve's comment. Now that I'm on a cloak that I want to flow nicely, I am not going heavy. I'm trying to go very thin. I'm trying to keep my strokes in the same direction. I'm not going back and forth. This isn't the Karate Kid. We are not wax on, wax off, or paint the fence up and down. For those of you that are Karate Kid fans or Cobra Kai fans, this is a singular stroke direction. And again, with this contrast paint, you try to guide, you know, it's okay if you have a little pooling and guide it into the recesses of the cape where it's going to be naturally darker anyways. And then we try to go lighter on the high points. Those high points are going to get highlighted anyways with a lighter red later on. Let's do the edging here. There we go. So before I get up into the upper section of the cape where there's some wrinkles by his hair, I'm just going to do all these big sections first. I'm going a little thicker down here just because this is a big recessed area. So I'm going to want that to be a little darker there. Still want it to be smooth. There we go. Just going to do the cape edge here. Do the cape edge first so that I'm not over painting an area that's already been painted. Alrighty. Back side of the cape is almost done. Sorry if I'm pointing the model slightly differently from the camera. I just gotta, you know, this is something Brant and I are working on, like what's going to be the best type of camera to use for wargaming so that we could start streaming those minis games, and you know, what's the best way to do a camera for painting. You know, we don't know. So we're kind of, I got a little webcam here that I'm just testing out. I'm not moving it around much, but it might be something that down the road we figure out a better way to do it, and we'll make that adjustment to the front part of this cape where it gets connected. Does anybody know what that's called? Because I do not. The little button strap, the button thing that holds the cape to his armor in the front. I don't know if it's called a button or something else. Cape clasp, I don't know, but I'm calling it a button for now, for frame of reference for where I'm painting by. Painting by the button. There we go. I'm going to go paint by his other button, and then we'll go to the underside of his cape, this face version of it, where luckily the nice thing about Thor's cape, at least on this model, or at least on the way this model was built, is it flares out enough that I'm going to be able to get under it without jeopardizing the main model, you know, like getting over paint on anything, which sometimes with capes can be difficult. On some Citadel models in particular, the capes tend to be tight to the bodies, which means getting underneath them sometimes is a challenge. But Thor's cape does not appear to have that same issue. Get a little water on my brush. This is where I want to be really thin with it, just so I don't make a mistake and get red on Thor's hair or his arm or his, as we like to call it here at Step Into the Portal, his cape button. I gotta tell you, if you watch this stream from the beginning, you will see that I've made up a lot of words today. That's okay. There we go. A little more on this side here. All right. I didn't appear to get any on his cape button, nor his face. That is good. On this side, there's just a little bit of white on the cape showing by his shoulder. I want to get that without getting his shoulder. There we go. All right, now we're on the other underside of the cape. Here's the back side of the cape. Now we're going to do the underside. Little thicker on the underside just because there's not a lot of light on the underside of the cape, which means there's more shadow. The red would be darker. So again, when we go to highlight the underside, we'll do that a little differently than the backside to kind of compensate for the fact that the underside wouldn't be getting the same light. So naturally it would look a little different. Oh, my phone is ringing. Cousin Adam. Gonna have to get that later, Cousin Adam. Because we are painting and talking to the internet. Thor, Odin's son. All right, let's see. How to turn them upside down to see if there's any areas we missed. Now we're just going to try to go. Now this again is an area that no one's going to see unless they're really examining the model, but I'm trying to get the red right up to his back and armor on the underside. That you're only seeing that when the model's upside down like this. You would not see that otherwise. Now some people, and Steve might be one of those people, I don't remember how this model got built, but some people would paint this cape separate then put it on. I'm not that good at modeling, so I don't really like to try to model, after painting, but Thor's red cape is done, and I think it looks reasonable. It will look better when dried. But people can get a little look there. See what I was talking about when he's front on, or when you're looking at it from the top, you're only really seeing part of the under of the cape. You're not seeing a lot of the under of the cape. So that being that, I'm going to grab Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. I'm not worthy, but I'm going to try to be. Okay, let's just do it like this. There we go. And there's Thor. Okay. Dormammu, Dormammu, Dormammu. How do we do Dormammu? Dormammu, Dormammu. They don't show us a lot here, people. Dormammu. So, again, this is not a contrast primer on Dormammu. It's just a black, so we are not going to start with a contrast. We're just going to go straight at. I said that. Yeah, here it is. Word Bearer's Red, and there's no bead in there, so I'm going to throw a bead in there just to mix that around a little bit. And we'll just do his whole head in flames in this first. Then when it dries, we'll come back and start finding the oranges, the yellows, the whites to really make it look like flame. Flame is something I don't have a ton of experience with, so I'm just going to play it by ear and see what we do with it. But I definitely want to start with this off red. I did not want to start it with the Mephiston red, because I'm going to come back with the watered down Mephiston red over this red. Let's use a different brush to get the paint onto the palette. So now we're back to regular painting again, not inking or dry brushing. So we're going to go back to the wet palette for this paint. And again, if I had a toothpick or something, I could put the paint on the palette with that, but Instead, I'm just using an old brush that I have no use for but to do things like stir the paint, etc. Okay, let's see how this goes. I'm going to stay away from his face to start because I just want to see how this covers. Okay, I like it. I like it. There we go. I like the coverage of this red, so I'm not scared of it now. Now that I see how it covers the black and how it looks, I am going to just generously apply it to all of his hair and face. We'll come back later and see if we're doing a second coat of it or if we're just going to the next color red. Dormammu is the one, if I remember correctly, that Doctor Strange figured out how to get him to leave by putting him in an infinite time loop of killing Doctor Strange. I believe that was Dormammu. I don't remember Dormammu from the comics. Admittedly, I never read Doctor Strange comics. He just appeared in some of the comics I was reading at the time. So, sorry if I'm a little off camera there. It's funny, as you're painting, you're trying to find the angle that works for you to see what you're painting, and then I tend to lose track if I'm making a camera snafu or not. But overall, not terrible here. Again, some of the black is showing through. That's okay. I don't want to make the coats too thick and have it look chunky. I go thin over the black. Get this first. And what I like about this red is a richer red that already, to me, lends itself to the base of a fire more than a bright red. The bright red, I think, comes after this. And then his skull, at least in that comic picture, is darker than the flames. But we'll see. I might decide to make the skull kind of hotter than his flames on his head and make that more of that yellowish white. Anyone who's familiar with fire knows that the hottest part of a fire is the white, not the red. So it would make sense to me that his skull, which the flame seems to be emanating from, would be hotter than the flames themselves that make up his hair or his crown or whatever, his mantle, whatever this is around his head. I assume it's hair flames, for lack of a better term. Get a little more water there. Just get a little thin, watered down red here and just kind of go over. Yep, there it is. It looks sloppy now, but because it's watered down, it will evaporate away. This is mostly water that's going over this now, just to, at least when it dries. And then he's got these two little spiky things in front of his face that in the picture show to be on fire as well. So I'm going to paint those red as well. And then we'll let Dormammu sit, and we'll go back to the Tree Lord Ancient or Daredevil, depending on who's more dry and ready for the next piece. There we are. All right, there we are. So if I put him down there, you can see for the time being, we just did some red to base his head. Come back to some flames in a bit. All righty. Let's take that brush and just get the paint right off it. All right, now the question is what to do next. Does anyone out there have a suggestion? We can go back to the Maw Pot and do some of the gray and the chains. Yeah, let's do that for a second, just while we're looking at it. Actually, while I have the Word Bearers red out, I'm going to use that with this brush to get inside the pot. Because the pot broth is red. Yeah, there we go. Or a version thereof red, which we will do a dark ink wash over this red to kind of really make it brothy, and then we'll color the little critters that are in the pot that make up the protein of the pot. But for now, I will go over everything in the pot in red because the critters are presumably floating in the pot and would have some red on them. So as we paint them, I don't think it'll be too bad to have some red bleed onto the other portions that are in the pot. Again, when I'm painting stuff like this, I'm trying to paint it in a way that makes sense, right? So if you ever look at a soup and you look at an orange carrot in a soup, yeah, the carrot's orange, but the carrot's floating in the soup and has some of that soup broth color as well to it. So that's what we'll try to achieve here as we do this. And then we just got to get behind this brush. I'm going to brush whatever this is, a lathe or a ladle or something that they're using here to stir it. Let's get a smaller brush to get behind there. There we go. There we go. All right, so the Maw Pot now has a red base for the broth. That's good. That is good. Kind of clean this brush off a little more. I also have a brush soap that Steve had me buy that I don't know how to use it yet, but I'll do that next time with him. Say, hey, let's show people how to clean their brushes, because I don't know how to use the soap brush just yet. It's right here. Brush cleaner and preserver. Ordered that on Amazon. Haven't used it yet, though, admittedly. All right, so boom, 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 Maw Pot. How about we get some black on this? Oh, no, you know what? Yeah, let's do the black first, because in case the black, and then there's flames, will be that, I feel like I should do the flames first. That's that same Word Bearers red we're going to use for the base of that black. So let's just, while the red's out, let's just have at thee with it. Okay. Okay, so now if you look at the pot, obviously it's on a fire, so we're just gonna, all those flames coming up the side of the pot, and at the bottom we're gonna do just a base in this red that we use for Dormammu. And then if I get a little bit on the pot, not a big deal, because when I do the black for the pot, the black will go over the red pretty easily. And because the red is raised, I could do the black pretty safely without getting the red, other than the red that I get on the pot, which I'm actually not being too, I mean, I'm being careful. I'm not like painting the whole pot red, but I'm getting little bits of red on the pot. Now this is another one that if you really wanted this to be like a centerpiece model that you wanted perfectly done, you know, and I built this a long time ago before I was interested in painting, you would probably not have this pot glued down right now. You would have it separate so that you can paint it separately from some of these other parts, but I did not do that, so I have to paint it as is, which again means I'm going to really be doing this model from the perspective of where it will be seen as it's sitting on the battlefield. So I'm not going to be doing it, you know, areas that are well hidden underneath will get, will be black or dark and, shaded away from the light because you don't see them as well. Anyway. And again, this is just a first coat of red. Again, this is a flame, so we'll do our probably some sort of orange, yellow, and white to kind of highlight the heat of the flame and the texture of the flame. As you can see, some of the flames just come up and ride the pot to a higher point away from the base fire, which is fine. And this is where, like I said, I'll get a little bit of red on the pot, but when I do the pot over in black, that red will disappear under the black, and just the flame will be red at that point. So again, not stupid sloppy, even though I know I'm going over the pot later in black, but try to be as close to not getting the red on the pot as possible, but if you get a little, it's okay. Okay. And this is where I was saying I'm taking a little extra red and I'm just going underneath these bottom flames to what you're not seeing that well, that you're not going to see that well, and just fill those in. There's some wood under there, which I'll paint a brown. And again, the wood's on fire, so the wood can have some red to it. It's okay. Alrighty. I think this is going to be one of those examples where it might not be pretty now, you know, it's going to be sloppy, but then as the whole model comes together and we get the black and the silver, or the lead belch or whatever color we use for metal, and as we get the whole pot towards the end, you'll see a lot of the sloppiness go away. It'll clean up, and I think this is going to be a pretty good looking model at the end of the day. I don't even know why I chose this model today as one of the things to paint. I think I just had it out and was like, you know, it'd be nice to get it done. So that's what we're doing. We're getting her done. Only thing I wish, this model would have been a lot easier to paint if the flames were just a little thicker and a little more encompassing of the bottom of this pot. They definitely have given us little bits and pieces of flame, which, again, not the easiest, seeing as I've already glued the model down. Had this model not been glued down, I think this part anyways would have been a lot easier. But that is where we live and learn in the world of hobby and painting and modeling. And again, even with a little sloppiness here, from a little bit of a distance, it's still, you know, you're getting the effect. You're getting that flaming effect at the bottom of the pot. So that's just going to get highlighted when we give it a little orange and yellow and we get the black of the pot going. I think these flames will stand out later and be a nice little addition. And I am happy doing it this way. You know, if I did the whole pot black first and then tried to come back and do the red, I really think I would have struggled getting red over the black and then having to clean it up again. So this is just saving us a step, because we know we got to clean the red up with the black anyway, so why paint the black first to only repaint it? So this order of operation I am happy with for my level of painting ability. Someone else might have a different order of operation, but I'm good with this one here. And there are some logs and some other stuff sticking out that I'll paint brown, but really directly under the pot, I'm trying to just shove some red under there, because, you know, the fire, to me, we can't see completely under the pot, so I just think having it be red is fine. Almost done with the flame part, I think. I don't think there's that much more. And then I think we won't go right to the black because I want the red to dry. So we'll go to a different color on here. Maybe we'll do the gray rock that the butcher does some work from on the Maupas, and we'll look at our tanned hides on the top too and maybe give that a quick wash. I don't know if it's ready yet for a wash. We'll take a look though. Woo. Ugh. It's funny, there's big fire on the part that's hard to see inside. That's much easier to paint because the whole fire is the bottom. If there's any Walking Dead fans out there, you know who Robert Kirkman is. He's the creator of The Walking Dead, and I got into his work, I think season 2 or 3 into The Walking Dead, bought his comics, met him at Comic-Con, etc. The reason why I'm bringing it up is before he did The Walking Dead, he had this Invincible comic that had some popularity. I never read it. I bring that up because there's a new show. I believe it's on Amazon, and it's not a one and done season where they drop the whole season. They're doing episodic every Friday, and there's been 3 episodes of Invincible, and I got to tell you, so far I really like it. It's animated. I'm not sure where the story's fully going yet, but I like what I've seen so far. It's a superhero-based show, but not as dark as The Boys, if you're familiar with The Boys, but it is in that ilk where not quite sure what the government and the superheroes are necessarily doing, but the fun part of it is this teenage boy who is getting bullied, common theme there in superhero shows or comics, has gotten his powers. His father's the most powerful superhero on the planet. And he's learning how to use his powers with his father's help while also doing some missions and meeting some other younger superheroes. And it's just, so far, it's been good and not for kids, because there is some language that just shocks you out of this animated show that you don't expect to see. But I like it. So far, so good. 3 episodes into Invincible. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, give it a shot. And next time we're on, if you're on, you can tell me what you think of it as a show recommendation goes. I think I already mentioned the Titans that I was watching on HBO Max. That's a good one so far. It's got 2 seasons. I've only seen the first 6 episodes, but it's got Robin and Raven and Beast Boy. And I think Starfire. I'm pretty sure Starfire. They don't call her Starfire yet. So yeah. A lot of little flames on this side over here. A lot of little flames. I'm just getting some red on. I know I'm going to clean it up with the black later. Again, potentially part of the model that won't get seen as well. But still want to hit it with enough red that you see the flames at the bottom. And any flames that come up the pot, I definitely want to hit. I've always heard, and it's true, if you go online or see any of these things, the human eye and mind trick you to seeing what you think you're supposed to see anyways. So sometimes with painting, while many of us try to be perfectionists, all you really got to do is get enough of what you need done, and most people will fill in the rest subconsciously. Their brain will do it for them as they look at the model and go, oh yes, there's a fire under that pot. So they see what they're supposed to see. So you see we got red flames going all the way around. I've got a few more on this side, and then the red will be done. I didn't see these flames before, but as I spun it around, I caught sight of them. This is definitely different than like playing Marvel Champions or a board game online. One, I'm relatively good at playing board games and know what I'm doing. Marvel Champions also, I kind of know what I'm doing. Even when we're losing, you know, we know how to play. We know what we're doing. We could talk about the cards and the rules, but painting is so subjective, you know. So you could be watching this and disagreeing with everything I have to say, and that's okay, you know. We all will have our ways of doing things and our opinions, and I guess this is the first time I'm really on here doing something that's subjective. You know, we can have opinions in Marvel Champions about what heroes are good or how difficult the new campaign is or whatever, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's based off of something that has a structured rule set that we all understand and know. This, not so much. And that's okay. I'm a little out of my comfort zone here, but we're working on it, learning together. Really curious to see some comments later about the camera quality, how well people can see, because I'm looking at everything from a laptop perspective, so I don't know on a phone or a big screen TV what some of this might look like. But anywho, you can see we got flames. We got flames, people. Flame on, as Johnny Storm would say. Flame on. Okay. What's next? What's next? I think we'll hit. Let's hit the brown of these posts real quick, and we'll do that with Cygor brown, watered down so it's a little lighter than what we did on the animal pelts. A little more water there, so I don't want this to be too dark. Okay. It's maybe a little too watered down, but that's okay. It's acting more like an ink wash than a contrast paint. Oh, let me do it over here so you guys can see it. Just doing the brown posts right now. I'm going to do the inside of the brown post. Alrighty. It's going to require another coat or dry brushing of another brown on this wood post. But again, we're just trying to get all the first coats done and have this thing kind of based generally in the color we want, so then we can figure out highlighting and shading and other stuff. This top thing here, pretty good. Okay, I got one post done. Now we're going to the bigger post. Taking a little more care on the top section of the post because I think it's more visible. It's also got the rope near it, and I don't want to get the rope. The rope I'm going to do in a lighter brown. Alrighty. And this one, of course, is a bigger post, so they have a section between the rope that's brown, so I'm going to just do that section next before doing the bigger bottom section all at once. This is a cool model, I will say. As far as terrain pieces go, what I like about this is some of the terrain pieces in Age of Sigmar are massive, and they take up so much room on the board. This one's big, but it's not like too big. And it's cool that it's got this little, like, underneath this pelt tarp that, you know, you could put a model in, you know. I don't think he gets cover in it, but it's just cool from a scenic standpoint to have a guy, a butcher or somebody in there kind of working the pot. I wonder if you can do that, just count it as the scenery and just put an ogre in there with an apron making like he's cooking. Kind of be funny. No gameplay relevance, just style points, you know. All right, the next part of the brown is done. Now we're going to do the lower portion of this wood, and we'll put this away for a little bit and go back and see how Daredevil's faring. I think we could get on Daredevil's, shade his red outfit a little bit. Not sure what we're going to shade him with yet. I don't know that we want to shade him with a pure red ink, so I think we're going to have to experiment and see what looks right. I tend to be more careful up by the rope bindings, and then I can get a little more free as I get away from it and come down the sides of these. And again, this is just first go. None of this is, you know, it's one thing when you paint, you know, typically you're not just going to do like, oh, I did my brown, I'm done, right? Like you're going to come back and highlight, wash, shade, something. Shade is a wash. Highlight would be, you know, your dry brush, or your highlighting without dry brushing, just with paint strokes, but again, lighter colors. So, you know, very few models, depending on how detailed you want to get, are you just going to go, oh, it's a brown this, so here's brown done, right? You know, you might do that on a small leather pouch on somebody. That doesn't need a great deal of detail with the paint, but for the most part, most things are going to require more than one coat and different shading techniques or highlighting techniques. So just keep that in mind as you paint. But again, you're going to paint to your level of satisfaction and detail and what you like. And again, this really isn't meant to be a tutorial as much as it's meant to be, you know, an exploration into something new on the channel. You know, we are a hobby store that has a lot of people playing minis games. I also play these minis games, and we thought it would be nice to show some models and show some painting. You know, I don't expect anyone's really learning anything from me. I'm just giving my opinion on a few things and showing a few things getting painted. So, that being said, the brown is done on these two posts, and I'm gonna give that model a rest for a second. See what time it is. I don't know how long I'm doing this for. It's 2:15 now. I'm probably gonna, I don't know. I don't know. I think we're gonna bring the Tree Lord Ancient out and test out some brown on him. Yeah, we'll do some of his armor in the Cygor brown, and then I think I'll call it a day. Got to get some stuff ready at home for Easter. Go see how the family's doing, but I'll do, let me do like his leg armor for now. Oh, I wonder what we're gonna do. What did we call this before? His waist tabard? We know it's not called a waist tabard, but that's what we're calling it. They have it red. I don't like that being red. Wondering if we could do a yellowish on that snake and that tabard on his waist. Yeah, they have it red. I think I'm gonna do an orange with a yellow. Do we have it in yellow? There's no real. Let's start with this. This is Eoden Yellow Contrast. I'm going to throw this on his little tarp, his little waist tabard thing here, and see how that looks. If we don't like it, it's not a big deal. We can go over it pretty much with any color. But I want to see what this looks like. And then we'll go right to the brown on his legs, maybe his forearms. We got to do a different brown on his staff. I think maybe we'll go snakebite leather to start that one out. Let's see how this color turns out, because I think this is going to be more orangey than yellow, and then maybe we could do a little yellow highlighting, and this might make this look good. So again, we're talking this tabardy piece here. Let's see. Yeah, I like it. This is good. I like it. It's got a couple of solid pieces on it that aren't this tabard material, so I'm not going to paint those pieces. This whatever, it in yellow. I'm going to save and do something different on those. I don't know what yet, but yes, I definitely, man, I got to tell you, I don't know if you can, how well you can see this, but this material is so rich in grooves that this contrast paint is just, this is what contrast paint to me was made for, stuff like this where it just eats it up. Absolutely is eating this material up. Looks awesome. Yep. Like it. Oh, backside does not have that material on it. So this is just a front side job. Backside is going to look different. Interesting. And I like how this is looking so much that I'm going to go a little thicker with the yellow and really get it on there, because it's, the contrast is really filling in there, filling in nicely all the little extra spots here. I'm going a little thicker because I like how it looks. It almost brings out like an orangish red in the recesses because of the way this is. So just gonna kind of just move the excess around so it's fitting in everywhere really nice. Yep, I like that. And on the back side, just on the edge here, there's a little of that material left, so we'll just touch this right here on the back side and then leave the rest of it as a different material. I'm gonna have to look in the book to see what they did just to get a sense of what they consider this material. There you go. Okay, that was actually very satisfying, that yellow. All right, back to Cygor Brown. Versus Snakebite Leather. Yeah, Cygor Brown. But then we're gonna definitely dry brush something lighter over this Cygor Brown after, but this will be the bottom coat of his armor, his bark armor, I'm calling it, because I don't know what it's really called. Let's see how this looks. We're gonna go with his thigh first right here. Let's go right to it. I'm only going to do his thigh because I really want to see, I want this to dry and see where we are, what it looks like, if I like it. So that drying part might be off stream, and like I said, I really want to take my time with this model, so this might be one that I'll just continue doing on stream if we're going to continue to do this stream. And, you know, we'll slow go it and watch the vision of this guy kind of go week to week on the episodes. But like Thor and Daredevil and Dormammu, I'm just going to probably just do those and show them off when they're done, and then start other ones. Yeah, I'm being very particular with this brown. I want it to be even. I want to get everything with it. So we can make a judgment call about it later when it dries. Do we like it? Do we not like it? Did it do what we wanted it to do? Sorry, I'm being quiet. Just focused on this. I don't think I'm going to do the like leafy branches coming off his armor in this color. I think I'll just do the very bottom of them where the armor's thick. But then well, I don't know. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it, and then we'll maybe dry brush that lighter. Just paint over it lighter, one or the other. I don't even think I'm going to do the back side of this leg right now. I think I just want to do the front side and see how it dries before going too far with it. All right. Oh. So that's just the thigh armor in brown. And there's some swirly detail in that leg too that, we'll pick up when we dry brush. But I think looking at it, I think I missed a section of green above here and above his thigh there, so I'll go back for that. So I think if we're going to paint again, if this seems to work, I think I'll finish the smaller models. I'll bring back the Ogre Mawpod. I think I'll bring back this Tree Lord Ancient. I think I'll fix up the green, and if the brown dries how I like it, I'll do some of the brown. And then on the next stream, we can hit the face, the beard, the staff, the branches off the armor, the claws, things like that. And we'll start tying the model together. But I think I'm going to call it there. It's 2:30. We've been going at it for almost 3 hours, give or take. So I'm going to let stuff dry, and I'll save some stuff for you guys next time. I appreciate everyone who came and watched. Remember, if you can, like and subscribe. Share with your friends. Until next time, I'm Larry, and we, though I'm alone, hope you step into the portal. Thanks, everybody.